Hello my loves and welcome to Absolutely Cosmical. I'm Luna, your astrologer and tarot reader, and today I'm bringing to you a really exciting video where we are basically taking a look at the zodiac signs of the Harry Potter characters. It is October and I thought it would be really fun to do like a little bit of a zodiac sign astrology themed video for Harry Potter. Take a look at their zodiac signs from Aries to Pisces, all of the characters in the Harry Potter universe, and kind of see how their zodiac sign plays out in the movies. But then in the second part of the video, I'm going to go over their personal connections, which can tell us a little bit about how the zodiac sign compatibility can play out. Honestly, one of my favorite topics is looking into astrology like through movies and pop culture. So if you want to learn more about your zodiac sign and your astrology to deepen your understanding of yourself, your future, or your relationships, you can book personalized astrology and tarot readings on my website, absolutelycosmical.com. So let's get started with James Potter. So James Potter was born March 27th, so he is an Aries, and he is one of the most Aries there is. He's like super popular, he's a jock, he's like really good at sports. He's also kind of a bully, like he did kind of bully Severus Snape. That can be one of the shadow sides of Aries, is that they can be kind of self-centered and brash, and really embodies that kind of jock archetype that Aries can embody. But we also have Fred and George Weasley are also Aries, and they were born April 1st, which I think is so funny. It's like so them to be born April 1st. They kind of show us the more mischievous, funny, class clown energy of Aries. They like to be a little bit louder. They like to make themselves known in whatever area, social circle that they're in. And Fred and George are obviously really mischievous, and they think for themselves. They have a very strong sense of a fiery spirit, and they're willing to defend the people they love, their family, their friends, and that is also true for James Potter. Now, moving into Gemini, we have Draco Malfoy. He was born June 5th, and he is also very representative of the shadow side of Gemini, which can be one where they can be very cunning, they can have a silver tongue, they could be really preoccupied with social status and social networking, because Gemini is a very social sign. This also is seen in the fact that Gemini can sometimes be seen as two-faced, and the way that Draco himself is a little bit two-faced, right? He really embodies the characteristics of Gemini that are capable of being a little bit sneaky and kind of twisting things for their own benefit. So we often see Draco lying to kind of get his way with teachers, to kind of like, you know, kiss butt a little bit. Then because Gemini is a bit of a fluid sign, sometimes these people can struggle with knowing who they are without like listening or looking for what other people think of them, which is why we can see Draco shifting allegiances, and a lot of his character arc has a lot to do with like whether he wants to be like his father, but not really having like a very stable identity, which is something that Geminis can struggle with. Being into Cancer, we have quite a few Cancers in the Harry Potter universe, starting off with Dudley Dursley. He was born June 23rd, and he represents some of the qualities of Cancer that are extremely family-oriented and kind of soft and almost sensitive to an extreme degree. So we can see in Dudley the more shadow side aspects of Cancer, which can manifest as being overly soft and needing other people to protect him, kind of being the baby of the family, also kind of perpetuating his insecurities and need for attention and constant appreciation and validation from his family, like picking on Harry. But then we have Dobby, born June 28th, who represents the more higher functioning qualities of Cancer, in the sense that he is willing to put himself in uncomfortable situations for the people that he loves, which is one of the strengths of Cancer, is their gigantic heart. And when it's in its highest potential, these people can be incredibly loving and endearing and make all of their friends their family. We see that with Dobby. He treats his friends like family. The way that he treats Harry and everyone that Harry loves equally is very Cancerian of him. Lastly, we have Dumbledore. So Dumbledore is also a Cancer. He was born between July 5th and July 10th, and we can see that Dumbledore is someone who feels deeply for the people in the world, both muggles and wizards alike. He is someone who is incredibly empathetic and has a deep inner wisdom to him. He's very intuitive. He always seems to know everything despite never really quite revealing his secrets. And that is a testament to Cancer's incredible intuition. And that is what differentiates Dumbledore from people like St. Voldemort, and why he is still such a powerful wizard despite having such a big heart, because his compassion is an asset. Even the way in which he takes people under his wing, people like Hagrid, people like Harry, people who others might not always see their potential, he always sees the potential in those around him. And that is the Cancerian quality of being able to make everyone feel comfortable and see them for who they truly are and express compassion and empathy. There's also quite a lot of Leos in the Harry Potter universe, which I think is really interesting, how there is a predominance of Cancer and Leo characters, which represents maybe J.K. Rowling's intention to make these books and these characters a representation of the good and the love and friendship and family and all of these things that come first in her world, how friendship always wins and love always wins. First on this list we have Neville Longbottom, born July 30th. And I think that Neville is such a great example of how Leos are not always in your face. They're not always people who necessarily desire attention. The thing about Leos is that they do have main character energy, and Neville has such main character energy in the sense that his character archetype has more about him learning about his own talents, his skills, his values. Leo has so much to do with your own self-worth and your ability to believe in your power and in your bravery. And Neville has constantly throughout the movies been recognized by someone like Dumbledore for his bravery. And Neville's evolution, especially towards the end of the series, where he is the one to play Nagini, that is a very hero's journey archetype for him, and that is very much Leo energy. Now, to contrast that, Harry Potter represents a slightly different take on that hero's journey. He is the chosen one. Actually, both Neville and Harry represent two archetypes of how Leo can manifest. It can manifest as a story of becoming who you are meant to be versus a story of accepting the weight and the responsibility of being in the spotlight, of being someone who is a representation of some sort of leadership or something bigger than themselves for everyone else. And that is the energy of Leo, which is this very pension drawing energy. And Harry being the chosen one, always being kind of the leader of his group, very much Leo energy, but also similarly to Neville, they both have really big hearts and are extremely brave, almost bordering on stupid at times. There is this courageous energy, which is very representative of the Gryffindor values. Leo energy is representative of like celebrity energy or entertainers, and how we can desire so badly to be special, right, that Neville does, but then not recognizing that being special comes with great responsibility. So very Spider-Man energy, right? Great power comes with great responsibility. Now, the last person on this Leo list is Ginny Weasley. Now, Ginny was born August 11th, and she is so brave and fierce, especially in the books. She's also quite independent, and her journey throughout the Harry Potter series is very similar to Neville's. Again, this hero's journey of becoming and coming into your own. As she starts off the series, it's this very like young little girl who's kind of shy and almost like idolizes Harry Potter, till the end of the series, where she really comes into her own and recognizes her own strength and assertiveness. We have Virgo, starting with Dolores Umbridge. She was born August 26th. He is very representative of a lot of the Virgo qualities, such as being detail-oriented, her perfectionism, even the way that she carries herself is very Virgo-esque. But she also represents some of the more lower functioning qualities of Virgo, which can be perfectionistic to the point of cruelty, detail-oriented to the point of kind of really obsessing over things that really don't matter. Just like the amount of rules that she has. I love that one scene where it just keeps putting more and more rules on the wall. Very, very Virgo. It's like you can't even function when there's so many rules around you. Also, Virgo energy can manifest as almost a really intense, narrow-minded view of what's right and wrong. That also manifests as like Dolores Umbridge's like, obsession with like what right way to teach or the right way to run Hogwarts might be, and yet her morality is somewhat skewed. So we have again this Virgo energy, which can be extremely detail oriented and incredibly smart. In its worst manifestation can be almost hypocritical and cruel. This is Hermione. Hermione is also a Virgo, and she was born September 19th. And Hermione really embodies the qualities of Virgo that emulate a really big desire to understand the world. Virgo is very, very practical, and it's a very analytical sign. And we see Hermione almost have this anxious, jittery energy about her. And one of the ways that Virgos really help the world and help themselves is they try to make order in their world. They try to read hundreds of books and research as much as possible so that they can get some sort of grounding or understanding about the world around them, which brings them a sense of comfort. Also, we see that Hermione is someone who is extremely helpful to others. One of the big parts of being a Virgo is being of service, and that can manifest in a lot of different ways. Hermione really hammers home that sense of service to the people around her. She is always there to help Ron whenever he's being a moron, or to guide Harry with exactly the right knowledge that he may need to conquer his next task. Virgo energy can be someone who is dutiful and also really, really humble. So her character arc is being someone who is Muggle born, comes from a Muggle family, and having to conquer a lot of the prejudices against her is very indicative of the Virgo archetype of that humility, this understanding, the sense of humility, which can sometimes make them extremely insecure and make them feel like they have to overcompensate for their skill set. So for example, with Hermione, we see that because she is Muggle-born, she also really, really strives to be the best witch, or to be extremely dedicated to her craft, because she feels like she has to prove something, like she has to be perfect, because the scrutiny around her will be so much more intense because of where she comes from. Now we have Libra, and we have Professor McGonagall. She was born October 4th, and she is representative of that Libra energy of really being quite just, someone who really has a good sense of fairness. McGonagall is someone who really cares about rules and keeping order and harmony in Hogwarts, but she is also very capable of understanding and weighing not just the logistical and practical aspects of the rules that she enacts, but also understanding the harmonious and interpersonal aspects of the kinds of rules that she enacts. So we see sometimes a way that she can make exceptions for rules and be quite understanding. That is, highest functioning energy of Libra is that ability to empathize with others and collaborate with others, while also maintaining order and harmony, which is quite different to someone like, say, Dolores Umbridge, who is also very nitpicky about rules and wants to maintain order, but there's an absence of that understanding of interpersonal connections. So we have a few Scorpios here in the Harry Potter universe as well. We're going to start off with Molly Weasley, who was born October 30th, and Molly really represents the Scorpio qualities that are extremely loyal, almost to a fault, ride or die energy. She will do anything for her children, even like that final scene where she really fights against Bellatrix Lestrange for her family. Scorpio energy is Mars energy, so there is a desire to protect and fight and keep the family unit together, feel a sense of responsibility to the people they love, almost to a fault, like they would rather literally than betray the people that they love. Then we also have Sirius Black, is a Scorpio, born November 3rd, and he's such a Scorpio, both in the way that he carries himself and even in his story arc. So we see Sirius Black being wrongfully accused of someone that he didn't, and literally having to suffer the consequences of such a betrayal from one of his closest friends. The lessons around betrayal are a really big part of the Scorpio archetype. I also see that despite him having experienced betrayal, he is still capable of being extremely loyal to the people that he loves. The Scorpio archetype itself can be quite dark and deal with very, very dark themes. So we do see that Sirius Black has a very, very troubled past, a very troubled family history, and he is almost kind of like a family curse breaker as well. And he really extends a really big sense of responsibility to someone like Harry, who has also gone through his fair share of troubles. Given his experience through Azkaban, from being one who lived a humongous portion of his life in a prison, to having to acclimate to what that's like outside of that experience, having his life kind of go through extremes, is very Scorpionic. Literally being imprisoned, being someone who was betrayed, and then also becoming a godfather and the only family to someone like Harry Potter, and then literally dying for the person that he loves, which is Harry. That's the epitome of Scorpio energy. And we have Sagittarius. So we have Hagrid. Hagrid was born December 6th, and Sagittarius energy is very blunt, it's very straightforward, and it's also very adventurous, and we see that with Hagrid. Hagrid is someone who is quite adventurous and spontaneous, and yet he has this desire to be honest at all times and completely himself at all times. His extreme love for animals and his kind of adventurous hiking kind of way of living his life, his explorative nature, is very Sagittarian. The way that he has so much knowledge that might not always be super conventional. Sagittarius is actually a guru, the mentor in astrology, but sometimes that energy can manifest as an innate wisdom, not necessarily a book smart wisdom. Sagittarius is the explorer, so oftentimes Sagittarius energy can manifest as someone who has just lived through a lot, which we can tell that Hagrid has had a variety of very interesting life experiences. His background as being half giant, immediately making him a bit of an outcast, also gives him a really fresh and nuanced perspective about life that other wizards may not have. Always being a little bit hectic or spontaneous and not always having a lot of order is also very Sagittarian of him. He also has this like very childlike, youthful energy to him, which is also a big part of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So Sagittarians tend to be people who are really lively and bring a lot of happiness and fun to people around them. So life would be a lot more boring for Harry, Ron, and Hermione if Hagrid was in their life. Now we have Capricorn. So Tom Riddle, also known as Voldemort, was born December 31st, and he is a Capricorn. Now Capricorn energy is very ambitious, it's very achievement oriented, and it's very like, we'll do anything to succeed. Tom obviously represents some of the more darker, more shadow side of Capricorn, which can be a complete disregard for human life. Capricorn is a Saturn ruled sign, so it can indicate a restriction around being able to empathize. It's the opposite sign to Cancer, so there can be almost a means to an end mentality about life where you can do anything for success. Also, his obsession and dedication to doing everything in his power to achieve what he wanted, literally dissipating, creating horcruxes, the amount of sacrifices that he has made towards his own soul and his own sense of humanity in order to attain the things that he desires are very Capricornian, and it also makes him someone who is extremely successful. He is an incredibly powerful wizard because he has such an intense dedication to being the best, to succeeding at all costs. Now, Capricorn energy can also, in its worst manifestation, represent someone who's quite cruel and has a very twisted sense of justice. Capricorn energy can rule structures, governments, things like capitalism, things like that, where when you skew them to the worst possible direction, they can become dogmatic and extremely restricting and kind of lack a sense of empathy and compassion. Severus Snape, also being a Capricorn, is born January 9th, and he has a lot of similarities to Tom Riddle, where he is also someone who is very stifled in his ability to connect with others, which again is one of these weaknesses of Capricorn energy. He's also a really great wizard himself. He's really good at potions, and he has always wanted to be the dark arts professor. And his failure in that can breed a lot of internal resentment and insecurity and grumpiness. So again, we have more of a different aspect of Capricorn that is also in its shadow. When a Capricorn doesn't feel successful in their world, doesn't accomplish the things that they wanted for themselves, they can become quite pessimistic and have a really dreary perspective on the world and others. And now Snape, on the other hand, does feel a sense of responsibility and does feel a sense of respect. Snape really respects Dumbledore. So there is a sense of Capricorn energy also having this need to either be respected, but also only take others seriously if they respect you. And that is the difference between Snape and Tom, is that Snape felt a sense of responsibility to Lily and to Dumbledore to change his ways. And one of the greatest gifts of Capricorn energy is their ability to sacrifice and to endure. You see both in Tom Riddle and in Snape's stories that they both endured a lot, but they ended up enduring for different reasons. So for Tom, it was all about success, and he was willing to put himself through anything to get what he wanted. Versus Snape felt more of a responsibility to those around him because he didn't hold himself in high esteem. So we can see that Snape is someone who has always struggled with his own sense of confidence and success in the world at large. And so he only really felt a sense of respect for people like Dumbledore and people like Lily. We have quite a few Aquarians in the Harry Potter universe as well, which is to be expected in a book about wizards and witches and such a weird, quirky little imagination that came out of J.K. Rowling's mind. Of course, we're going to have some quirky weirdo characters as well. So we're going to start off with Lily Evans, also known as Harry Potter's mom. She was born January 30th, and Aquarius energy, one of the biggest hallmarks of it is this humanitarian energy, as well as this ability to work in groups and do things for the greater good. So Lily was willing to sacrifice herself for her own son, which is actually the protection that she gave Harry. Also, her dedication to the Order of the Phoenix, and again, this group collaborative effort, her ability to move against the grain in order to stand up for what's right is very Aquarian of her. And then we have Arthur Weasley, is also an Aquarius. He was born February 6th, and he is just a cute, quirky, eccentric guy, and he's always stood out in his own community, literally working in like Muggle anthropology, I think it was. His fascination with Muggles, his fascination with understanding people who are different from him, very Aquarian of him. And curiosity with understanding technology that is foreign to him is also extremely Aquarian. And lastly, we have Luna Lovegood, born February 13th, and she also embodies some of that quirky weirdo energy that is so well known to Aquarius. She's always stayed true to her unusual beliefs and her quirky ideas, which make her someone who's kind of out of the box, who's able to think outside of the box and is okay with it. One of the best qualities of Aquarius is their ability to embrace their individuality and stand out from the crowd. And that is one of the most special qualities of Luna Lovegood. She's also someone who is extremely empathetic and altruistic. She really thinks a lot about the people around her, her communities, and isn't someone who is so quick to judge, which is also one of the greatest qualities of Aquarius. And its highest potential is an acceptance of people who are different from you and perspectives that are different from yours. Last but not least, we have Pisces. So Ron Weasley is a Pisces. He was born March 1st. Ron really shows us the Pisces archetype in both its positive and negative attributes. He is incredibly compassionate and sensitive, and he loves his friends dearly. However, Pisces is also a sign that can lose its way, that's easily influenced by energies around him. And because of that, he can lack a sense of identity. He can struggle to define his own worth outside of physical or external validation. We see him struggle with things like jealousy or insecurities, which is also very common for people with Pisces in their chart to feel a little bit lost in life. This also manifests as kind of his airheadedness and bit of daydreamy quality, where he's just always lost in the plans that are being made by Hermione and Harry, and yet he is a pleasure to be around when he is compassionate and loving and willing to do anything for his friends, even when he doesn't quite understand what's going on. That's one of the most endearing qualities of Pisces. And we also have Remus Lupin, born March 10th, another Pisces. He is incredibly gentle and kind, and he also has a deep understanding of human beings, and this is because of his own story arcs. The story arc of Pisces being one of self-sacrifice and needing to define yourself outside of external validation. So we see Remus struggle with being a werewolf and being incredibly lonely and introspective at times, which are some of the qualities of Pisces. Pisces can be a bit of a hermit. That's something that Ron also struggles with, despite being surrounded by a bunch of siblings and having Hermione and Harry to his side. I think it's the Deathly Hallows Part 1, where he really struggles with feeling alone, feeling like he's not like his friends, feeling like he will never be truly understood or loved the way that he is. And that is something that Remus also really understands. And because of this, because of these experiences of loneliness or having to struggle with defining your identity, these people are also really good at empathizing with others and being incredibly compassionate. And we really see that with Lupin. So let's take a look at the main trio with Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Harry being a Leo, Ron being a Pisces, and Hermione being a Virgo. So we can see that with Hermione's Virgo energy, she constantly brings her analysis, her research, her more structured energy to someone like Harry, who is very bold and ambitious and leadership oriented, but sometimes his bravery can border on stupidity. So she allows Harry to go after the ideas that he has while providing some sort of practical structure, or even tempering him a little bit to hold him back from doing crazy things. Whereas Ron provides a sense of emotional connection and sensitivity to Harry. In times where Harry doubts himself or feels like he needs to just run away and not let anyone get hurt anymore, Ron brings him a fresh perspective, like in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, I think, or maybe it was Deathly Hallows, I'm not sure. There's a scene where Harry's like, I'm packing up, I'm going to take care of everyone by removing myself from the equation. And Ron very politely says, it's not all about you. Very Leo of Harry to think it's all about him, and very Pisces of Ron to say, hey, like, other people also care about a bigger cause than you, and you're an incredible part of that, and we all love you, and we would all miss you, and you would actually make a bigger issue if you were to leave. But this can also create some conflicts between all three of them. So for example, sometimes Pisces energy can be very laid back, and that can really bother someone like Hermione, who's like, dude, like, you're always lost, you don't know what's ever going on. And it can also bother someone like Ron, who can struggle with a sense of identity, or who can be extremely sensitive to see someone like Harry be incredibly confident and sure of himself, which can make Ron recluse and become kind of temperamental, where everyone around him doesn't really know what to say or how to act. Take a look at the relationship between Harry and Dumbledore. So Harry is a Leo and Dumbledore is a Cancer. So Dumbledore provides Harry with a sense of comfort. Dumbledore mentors him. We have again this Cancerian energy of being someone who empathizes quite a bit with Harry, and he does feel a sense of responsibility to Harry. However, where conflicts arise is that Harry can often take things really personally. Because he's a Leo, he can sometimes feel like Dumbledore doesn't share enough information with him, or doesn't tell Harry enough about his connection to Voldemort. Or because of Harry's very passionate and fiery nature, sometimes that can feel like he's being ignored by Dumbledore, because Dumbledore has a more tempered, calm, and almost sensitive nature. So there is a sense of impatience at times between Harry and Dumbledore, where Dumbledore is someone who is more guided by his inner wisdom, his intuition. Cancer can sometimes be an introverted sign, which doesn't always open up as freely. It is still represented by the crab, so these people can be quite guarded at times. And this can really frustrate someone like Harry, who's ruled by the sun and wants everything to be illuminated, wants to understand himself, wants to understand his journey. So whilst they do help one another, there is also definitely some friction there. Now, the rivalry between Draco and Harry makes a lot of sense when you understand that Draco is a Gemini and Harry is a Leo. So Leos are motivated by courage, passion, honor, integrity, and that is very different from Gemini energy. Gemini is in and of itself a dual sign. It's also a mutable sign, which means it can be wishy-washy. These people can be inconsistent, can change their alliances. They might say one thing and do another, and that can be really rub someone like Harry the wrong way, who is a fire fixed sign, which means that he's very stubborn and he's also extremely passionate and leadership oriented. Now, Draco can envy some of these qualities in Harry. He might envy Harry's ability to be so confident and courageous and be in the spotlight without really having to try so hard. Versus Harry can feel like Draco is someone who cannot be trusted. Draco really just wants to be the same way that Harry is. However, Gemini cares a lot more about their status and their social hierarchy and where they stand in society, which is why we see someone like Draco upholding belief systems like pure blood belief systems, or even ideologies that were passed down to him from his parents, for the simple means to appease the people around him and maybe not always thinking through what he desires and rather just adopting what other people around him are doing. And that can be seen as cowardly and inauthentic to someone like Harry, which is why they might clash. Now, there is a world where these two could be friends because Gemini and Leo are technically compatible by element, so fire and air do work together, but because of their differing belief systems and the way that they approach, this can create a lot more conflict. We have Harry and Voldemort. So Harry is a Leo and Voldemort is a Capricorn. Now, this is really interesting because both Leo and Capricorn are leadership-oriented signs. They both like to be seen and they both want to be in power. However, Harry earns power. He doesn't necessarily even seek it out. And that is the beauty of Leo is ruled by the sun. So they draw attention without even trying. So Harry's commitment to his passion and to his heart and standing by his morals inadvertently draws a lot of attention, success, and power to him. Versus Voldemort, ruled by Capricorn, is someone who is willing to do anything and cross any lines to see success. Capricorn is more about control, gaining power through control and tyranny, which is why we see Voldemort also equally gain supporters and success, but all of his supporters are afraid of him, are controlled by him. They don't necessarily truly believe in Voldemort or his cause, but almost have gone onto his side because they do not want to be in his path of destruction. Now, Voldemort almost innately hates Harry because Harry has conquered him without even trying in every possible way as a baby, and then he has been able to gather a fan following, and that can really trigger someone like Voldy. So you see Voldemort continuously lose to someone like Harry because Harry is motivated by passion and heart and bravery, versus Voldemort is motivated by control, calculation, and fear. Harry really sees Voldemort for what he really is. He sees him as someone who doesn't have friends, who doesn't have family, who doesn't have anyone who really loves him. And he sees that Voldemort really seeks this love through glory and success. And because of that, Voldemort almost feels a bit insecure because he knows that Harry represents a lot of qualities that Voldemort wants for himself, but he feels like he cannot have. We have Dumbledore and Voldemort. So Dumbledore and Voldemort are quite literally foils of one another, because Voldemort is a Capricorn and Dumbledore is a Cancer. Now these two signs are opposite to one another, so they represent two sides of the same coin. Capricorn energy represents structures, it represents legacy, it represents success at all costs. Cancer represents compassion, empathy, and love, and that love conquers all. Voldemort almost views Dumbledore as weak because of his sensitivity and compassion for others, but that actually proves to be his biggest strength. Because Dumbledore has emotional intelligence and intuition and is capable of creating powerful alliances, this is why people respect Dumbledore, because he acts with temperance and he has an innate wisdom. He doesn't have to fight and instill fear in others to be respected, which again is similar to how Voldemort feels about Harry. And Dumbledore represents a leadership style to Voldemort that he believes to be very vulnerable, and this comes back to Voldemort's like psychology and personality, in that he has never just been freely given love. He has never just been freely loved for who he is. So he feels like that is an impossible task, and it's something that is so fickle. He believes that love is fickle. Now, because he has never experienced love, he believes that the only way to be truly respected and to have long-lasting power is to instill fear and to have immortality. The rivalries between Harry Potter and Voldemort and Dumbledore and Voldemort really come back to the concept of heart versus control, which is Leo energy, which is the lion. It is this courageous Gryffindor energy against something like Slytherin energy, which is cold and calculated and cunning, and how when you are truly invested and people truly care, they're capable of conquering even the smartest, most strategic plans. So that is all of the zodiac signs, all of the astrology of Harry Potter. Let me know what surprised you the most. Who has your zodiac sign? Do you resonate with that character? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this